African Safari Wildlife Park is a wild experience with over 800 exotic animals. Our drive-through safari features giraffes, zebras, deer, elk, alpacas, and even a white bison, all of which you can feed right from your vehicle. Walk on the wild side with a Zoo-It-All pass and feed kangaroos, porcupines, tortoises, and rabbits. Step into our aviary adventure and hand-feed budgies for a memorable experience. Check out our live educational shows or ride a camel. Create memories that will last a lifetime at the Ohio Safari Park, African Safari Wildlife Park in Port Clinton.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition. It's Tuesday right here on The Morning Show on Main Street TV, and our good friend Morgan Washam is here, and we're going to talk about like 7 million different things.
We are.
We are. But first off, and thank you for joining us, Morgan admitted during the African wildlife video that he rode a camel.
I did ride a camel.
Was your camel's name Nacho? Because my camel's name was Nacho.
You know, I don't remember the name of the camel actually, but I'll tell you what, it was fun. My daughter and I rode on that. It was a few years back, but I had a little trouble. It was my camel was a one-humped camel, and so I got to the top of the hump and I slowly migrated down toward the rear end of the camel. And my daughter, though, I kept her up on top, though, and kept her safe. That was my ultimate goal with that. But I thought it was successful. I made it around the track.
That's good. Well, I'm thinking, though, if you're going to slide one way or the other on the camel, you slid to the wrong end.
I did, but if you understand how things go in my life, that's
I was going to say
typical.
maybe it's very appropriate.
Yes.
No, that is funny, and you know, every kid should get to do that once, or adult, and there
I might
you
do
go.
it. I'd do it again.
Yeah. I mean, did you get to steer the camel and everything?
No, they didn't let me do
Yeah,
that. I think I'd have been a little too much.
They're like, this guy's going to go to the rear of the camel.
Yeah. I was already
headed
headed out the wrong way. So.
Only you. Only you. All right. Well, Morgan, welcome to the program. And I think you've been here a time or two.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a little while, though. And, you know, because we've all lost a year during COVID, it could have been 7 years or 2 years or 1 year. I don't even know. But anyway, welcome back. It's good to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you came in this morning, and we're going to talk about something really, really cool going on at the Lilian Jones Museum.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. So, but first off, tell everybody a little bit about yourself if they don't know. Of course, I think a lot of folks know your dad. We all survived Mr. Washam's English class.
Yes.
Wait, did you have to take your dad's class?
I had him for English in 11th grade, yes. So that was an interesting experience. I think it was, I don't know, I don't think he liked having me too well because I'd heard all of his stories by that time. So
me and my friend, me and my friend, I'm wanting to say Samson, that's not it.
Oh, my Thompson.
Thompson,
me
and my friend Thompson.
And that's a real fella. He's from Jackson.
Is he?
Originally, he used to live here. Yeah, he used to.
Me and my friend Thompson?
I think he might have owned a Kentucky Fried Chicken in Jackson at one time, or maybe it was in Oak Hill.
Really?
Maybe. I may be wrong about that. He did own Kentucky Fried Chicken restaurants elsewhere, but yeah,
we
my dad's friend
Thompson. We thought he was
Thompson.
a figment of his imagination.
Real fella. Graduated from Jackson High School, class of 68.
Interesting. All right, but we digress.
Oh,
so
yeah,
tell
sorry.
everyone a little bit about yourself.
Well, of course, you said my name, of course, and I've lived here, lifelong resident of Jackson County, and I'm a school teacher at the Jackson Middle School. I teach students with multiple disabilities in grades 6 through 8. And I'm a musician. I'm a songwriter. I've done that for a long time here in the community. I used to work out at the Jackson County Highway Department. I got to give those guys a big shout out.
Heroes.
Oh, heroes! Exactly.
Heroes.
Exactly. Those guys
don't get the credit they deserve.
Don't get the credit they deserve, and they're out in it and so everybody else can have a safe time when it's time to get to work and do things. And so they. But yeah, I miss being out there. But I moved on to teaching, and that's kind of where my passions were. So that's what I did. But yeah, I've been doing the teaching now for about 3 years full time there at the middle school, and I'm I'm still into songwriting and actually getting into doing some permaculture and things out at my property. I'm wanting to do a little orchard. I started doing that this year actually, and I'm
Very good.
going to do a little apple and pear orchard. Yeah, so
Love that.
yeah, excited about that.
Yeah, that is exciting, and we I guess if COVID got people inspired to do anything, it's some of those type things where fruit and vegetables and meat and all that stuff doesn't come from the grocery store.
No.
I mean, you can get it there.
I mean, it's distributed there, but
that's not exactly where it comes from.
Exactly, and that was kind of my thinking on it. I think it's better to kind of be proactive on growing your own food. And my thinking on it is I'm also doing a greenhouse. And I'm wanting to be able to grow sprouts and different greens in the wintertime. And I figured not only will that save on my grocery bill, but it's also going to be eating a lot healthier.
Absolutely.
With the overall goal, I'd like to replace about 40 to 50% of what I consume with my homegrown stuff, as far as and improve my health and improve the grocery bill for my family and stuff like that. So that's kind of my thinking behind that, I guess.
Well, we could do a whole show on that. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
With that, so you can grow vegetables and things during the winter here in Ohio?
You can grow lettuces and things. I mean, I'm still. This is my first year starting it out.
Voyage,
so yeah, we'll see how it goes. It could crash and burn, but I'm hoping or freeze. I guess not burn, freeze burn. But I'm hoping not. I've got a little stove, and I'm going to do these barrels and fill them with water, and that creates what's called thermal mass when you heat it up, and it'll slowly create heat. It'll absorb heat from the stove I'm going to use to heat it, and then that'll slowly release heat back into the greenhouse throughout the day. So
makes sense.
Yeah, and it'll absorb heat from the sun as well. So there you go.
Good for you. Yeah. We'll have you back to talk about that.
We'll see how it goes. Like I said.
Okay, we'll wait a year and then have you back to talk.
Yeah. It's still
actually, whether it fails or succeeds, it will be an equally as interesting show.
Right, and it will ultimately succeed because just doing it is half the battle. Because if there are things that happen that go wrong, I'll make adjustments and I'll learn from it. So that's what's important about doing stuff like that.
Well, that's part of the fun of it too.
Right.
Totally. If you're perfect at everything all the time,
exactly, and you got to start somewhere, and so that's just something during COVID I thought I would do, and I thought it would be helpful to my health and my family. So
I think that's fantastic. So good for you. So I'll be out to steal some peaches later.
And if it's successful enough, maybe I'll have surplus, and we'll be able to go to the farm market or sometime, in the future, and do some of that, and get my daughters doing that maybe as a part-time.
Love that. So. That is awesome. All right, so and many of you had Morgan's father, Mr. Washam, in school, and I will say this is a shout out to him if he's watching. Do you think he's watching this morning?
He might be on his phone. Yes, he might be.
I will say that there were a few high school teachers that prepare you for college, because high school and college are completely different animals. And I would have to say that your dad is like top 2 teachers that helped prepare me for college and helped with all of the mindless. So Jen and I were just having this discussion about the mindless papers you have to write in college.
Right.
The busy work stuff.
The liberal arts end of it.
Yes. Yes. But your dad was very integral in
makes you well-rounded.
Teaching me to think in that manner and to get that jump start. He had us write some papers and critiqued us and whatever. And had he not done that, I wouldn't have been able to BS my way through college the way I did.
Well, I'll tell you, and that's one thing that I do really remember about Dad.
He was.
You have to be able to write, and
yes.
And that was one thing that when you went into his class, you knew that you came out of there with your writing skills greatly improved, because that's what you did in there. You would read and you would write about topics, and he would critique it, and that was a big part of his class and what we did there. And of course, and he would always go back to the grammar, which I know a lot of students always would be surprised, but a lot of students, you go over those things over and over again, but you still, it always is great to have a refresher on that and in terms of
It is.
proper grammar usage and stuff. And I think
Especially
that's what
when
he was doing there. So.
Yeah, when you live in Appalach, you tend to get a little sloppy.
Well, you do. I mean, and that's just the general dialect and things. It's just friendly to use it, and it just
Yes.
is what we do. But at the same time, writing, how we write and how we speak are two different things. So
That's exactly right. And I will say one more thing about that, and then we'll move on, is he was not a frou-frou teacher. Like, if he had something to say, he was going to say it. And that was another thing that helped. I think his attitude helped prepare me for college professors, because they're not going to sugarcoat stuff, and they're very fair. He was very fair, but he wasn't going to coddle you. You either did the stuff or you didn't do the stuff, and there was no BSing around it.
Right, and ultimately you learn that if you're going to write something or have an opinion, you better learn to support it in the right way, and I think that's really what I gained from him, at least. But it was learning to do that. So I think that's that was the greatest takeaway that I had personally. But
and there were a lot of fun stories along the way.
Oh yes. Yeah.
But anyway, we digress. And all right, so Morgan, you are here, and you all started something. Was it last? It wasn't last.
2019.
Okay, 19,
yeah, we did the year without the lost year.
Again, we all lost a year, and it's like just poof, it's gone. So in 2019, you all started something, and it was really, really cool and really, really successful. And it kind of Apple Festival-ish time.
Yep, sure was. It was called the Jackson County Roots Concerts, and the idea behind it was just to have an event or events that brought local songwriters together, as well as potentially local artisans and folks from the Southern Hills Arts Council and local craft beer makers. We had 6 Cents there, and Marque was distributing that, and as a fundraiser there. And we did that on the side porch of the Lilian Jones Museum, which is our local historical and cultural museum in Jackson here. And I thought that was very appropriate to do it there. And it's such a lovely location there, overlooking the former Kennison property. And it went very well. We had musicians from not only Jackson County, but from a couple from out of town as well. But it was a very successful event. It was 3 days in 2019. We did Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday that week. But went very well. And for our first one, we had a tent, and of course, I guess we're going to do it again this year. So
well, heck yeah, why not?
Yeah. So we were glad that it's going to happen again, and so we're going to have the tent again. So it's rain or shine. It's a 20 by 40 frame tent there, and just outside the porch area, and then the music will take place on the porch, and it's covered enough that unless it's a deluge, we're going to have
like
the music
a thunderstorm
still.
Or something.
But the nice thing about it, too, I mean, not only bringing songwriters together that are local, but folks were able to go and get their food at the Apple Fest and bring it up, and they could sit underneath there, and it's a free event, and so and have water or lemonade, and we also had the 6 Cents beer there if you're of age.
Sure.
But we're going to do it again this year, and we're really excited about it. We're only going to do it 2 days this year, though. We're going to do it September the 23rd and 24th, which is the Thursday and Friday of the Apple Festival week. So.
Oh, okay. So Thursday and Friday, and all right. So that is such a cool event. How did it come to be? Whose idea was it?
Well, it was. I mean, it was. I guess it was my idea to begin with.
Well, thank you.
Oh, no problem. It was kind of my idea. I don't know. I mean, lots of people perform at the Apple Festival, but I don't know that they had really had a thing up there where they had had featured local songwriters, a stage dedicated to local songwriters specifically. And so it wasn't like we were ever trying to compete with the Apple Festival. We wanted to just do something that would enhance like what was already happening up there, and make a nice little thing there at the front gate to the fest there. So
well, and it extends the Apple Festival reach.
Right.
It gets you past the apple butter and on down a little bit, and maybe gets some people to know that the Lilian Jones Museum is there there that might not know or haven't been.
Yeah, a lot of
checked it
people
out.
drive by, I think, and see the see the sign or the plaque they have out front, and they're like, "Oh, it's a museum," but I don't know that out of towners always get what's going on with
Sure.
that. So it's nice for outreach there. I don't know if Megan. I don't think she's going to have it open during that time. It may be open. I shouldn't say that. She
Okay.
might correct me. I
We'll
shouldn't
talk with
say
her
it.
about that.
But certainly we're going to be operating with the music at least from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. each
Okay.
evening. Those 2 nights, and we'll have music going throughout and stuff. And we're still in the process of we have Iron City Pipe and Supply is going to be helping us sponsor it, as well as 6 Cents Brewing and the Marquet and Total Media as well. We're still actually looking for a couple more sponsors, though. So if anybody would be interested in coming on board with that, please feel free to reach out to me. My
Absolutely.
email's morganwasham@gmail.com. So
That's pretty easy to remember.
So you can find me there or on one of the social media sites, probably Facebook or something. So
Not hard to find.
Yep.
He's a big fella. You can
yeah,
find him
you'll
out
see him.
and
You'll
about.
see me out and about. And if you come this year, you might get one of these cool T-shirts too. So you
I
can pick up
love
one of these.
those
Yeah.
shirts. Those
Yeah.
are awesome.
So we're gonna have these for sale too. So that'll
Very good.
and that will go to support the event in the future.
Well,
so
sign me up for one. I want one.
Will do.
All right, so are you still looking for artists, or have you already filled the
We've
ticket, if you
well,
will.
we've pretty much filled the ticket at this point. We're kind of working on a couple things promo wise, and I can announce a couple today, but I can't announce everybody.
Okay,
We're
that's
going to
what I
announce
was
them
going to
later in the
ask.
week.
Can we talk about it?
Longtime songwriter and citizen here, Mike Morgan, will be playing.
Yeah,
He'll be
okay.
doing a set there. I'm going to be doing a set there. A fellow who is a graduate of Jackson High School, John Reister, is going to be there, and he makes violins now. He lives down in outside of Georgetown, Kentucky, and he's going to come up from there.
Wow.
He makes some gorgeous violins.
You're
you guys
kidding.
gotta-
I didn't know
it's
that.
Jay Reister Violins. You can go on Instagram and check him out, or he's on Facebook too with them. But I mean, just exquisite, world class. You guys got to check him out. I'm sure he'll have some there at the events there. So at the concerts, and then we were gonna have Ben Davis Jr., but Ben ended up having a double booking that day, and he's not going to be able to be with us. Unfortunately, he has something in Nashville. It's kind of big with Todd Snyder. So that's I thought that whatever. That's pretty awesome. I said, Ben.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah.
No, we're just kidding.
Go
do that, dude.
Exactly.
Get on it.
But I will announce the rest of the lineup here at the end of the week. So if you would like, and you're on social media on Facebook, which I'm sure most of you are, if you go to look up Jackson County Roots @ Jackson County Roots, you can type it in and it'll pop up. And if you'd like that page, we'll make the announcement off of there here of the rest of the lineup here later this week. So
Love that.
Yeah.
So it gives you something to look forward to. It's
Yeah.
like Christmas.
Yeah, little tidbits. I
Yeah,
guess.
very good. All right, well, that is so cool. And you brought your guitar, so we're going to have you sing a little bit.
Well,
you
that
don't
would be
know
great.
that, but
Well, I did bring it. I was told to bring it. It's like
why would I bring my guitar if they didn't expect me to
it's
sing,
like
right?
it's like the Woody Guthrie thing. I can bring it everywhere anyways. Usually, so, you never know when you're gonna need it.
That's exactly right.
right.
So how did you get into music?
Well, my uncle Rick Smith played music, and and my dad played music. He played fiddle. Rick played guitar. My mom, she was a teacher in Jackson and is no longer with us, but she sang and played guitar.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she sang a lot actually. But I didn't realize this. That in high school she directed the choir at the Grace United Methodist Church, and I did not realize that. And I thought, wow. But
pretty
we were
cool.
talking about that just yesterday. But yeah, lots of family, and then my uncle Greg got me a guitar for my 13th birthday. I got an electric guitar, and I thought that was like the coolest thing ever. I mean, I was always around when people were picking or playing the fiddle or whatever, and I think one of my earliest memories was dropping my mom's guitar and breaking one of the tuning keys on it, and I felt real bad about that. But I wasn't playing then. I was just playing guitar.
You were
I was
playing with the guitar.
Yes, I was. But
After she told you not to, I'm
well,
sure.
yeah, I was in trouble on that one. But I was very young when I did that. But No, I just was around music and just, it's just always been something I gravitated toward, and it was a way of expressing myself. And then when I was in 8th grade, I learned to play some guitar chords. Don Bolin and Walt Cook taught me a lot down at the Hummingbird store. And
did you take lessons
I
down there?
Took lessons from Don, and of course, the way Walt ran things down there was like I'd go in there with Don for a half hour. It's supposed to be a half hour, and we'd end up being in there for 50 minutes or an hour sometimes, because he'd always wait till you got it or whatever, and we'd just be playing. But then you'd get out, and then I'd go talk to Walt, and he'd show me things, or for another hour. So it was it was a great environment to grow up in. Of course, I lived right up the street on Pearl Street, and we just walked down there whenever, and that. And of course, in high school, we had the band and stuff, and I was always into that. And it was just kind of an evolution. I started writing songs in about 8th grade. No one ever told me how to write it. I just kind of just started doing it. And I had a nurturing father in that way. He would always humor me and listen to them even when they were horrible. And it just kind of grew from there. And that's the important thing. You don't necessarily have to know how to do the guitar. You just start doing it. There's general premise. You have to learn some chords and start with the basics. But just picking it up and doing it and getting the fingerings down, because believe it or not, a lot of people would give up on guitar because of it hurts their fingers.
It
so
hurts.
Much. Yeah, and you have to build those calluses. So that's something that once you work through that, though, I remember, and that's why in high school. And in or middle school, high school is the best time for people to learn, because you have extra time, that you don't have once you start getting out into the workforce and having responsibilities in life.
Right.
And so that's a great time to take advantage of that time and learn to do something like that. And and it's never too late, though. I always tell people that too. You could always pick it up. I know a lot of people have picked up a different instrument and things during COVID and stuff. So I thought that's a good use of the time as well. But
yeah, I would definitely encourage that. We were talking about that the other day, and I can remember growing up, and it's the same, I feel like, with a musical instrument of, I started riding horses when I was 6 years old, and to me, it's like breathing or walking or whatever, and of course you improve and whatever, but I can remember adults coming out to the barn and trying to start to learn to ride, and all of them quit, because it's so humbling.
Right,
and
I'm sure.
Unless I feel like the earlier you start, it just becomes like second nature to you. It's like kids that grow up surfing or skiing or anything like that. It's just something else
Becomes part of you almost, just an extension of you.
And I feel like with the guitar and all that, you started so early that it just becomes like you can pick it up and just play and not even realize what you're doing.
Well, and that's true. No, I wouldn't call myself a master on the guitar. I'm more of just a songwriter. And I've found that that's where for the time that I have to do it, that's what I like to do. And that's just been my thing and kind of how it evolved. But I do like to play with a band. I'm actually putting a band back together right now, and to do another record, and we're going to support that next year and stuff. But it's and don't get me wrong, that's a lot of fun, and I traveled around and did that in college probably more than the first time I was in college, I probably played more music than I did go to
the college part.
Well, I did attend, and I graduated, but. But at the same time, I felt like I got just as much education in the School of Hard Knocks and business out playing music 3 and 4, sometimes 4 nights a week.
Till 3 and
4 in the morning. Yeah, I tried to always schedule my classes at 10:30, 11. So it has a buffer there.
Yes, we've been kind of schooling Jenna on this college thing along the way, like not what your parents want you to know about like going to college, where you have to be responsible and stuff, but how it like actually really is. I'm like, don't schedule 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock classes. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Maybe not your freshman year if you can help it.
Yeah.
But, if you have to, you have to. I don't know. I used to not be a morning person, but now I am a morning person. And I love getting up early. I love seeing the sunrise and hearing the birds. And I'm kind of 180 from how I was when I was 20 years ago or whatever, when I was an undergraduate. But
yeah.
It just, I don't know, that's just life and how things evolve and change. And that's the only thing that's for certain. And you got to learn to roll with it and appreciate it, because it doesn't last as long as you want it to.
You're exactly right about that. That's for sure. So, back to songwriting. I'm interested in that just because that's something that you do and know about. But What is different, but is there a difference between writing for a song and writing like poetry or something of that nature? Because inevitably or ultimately you end up having to put it with music. Is there a rhyme or reason to writing a song versus
I mean, I don't necessarily. I mean, it just depends. I mean, it depends on the type of poetry you're writing, I guess. I mean, you know, I mean, we could say we're going to write a haiku and then adapt it to a song, and that might be difficult just because you're constrained by the amount of syllables in the. I mean, and haiku's so short anyway. It's going to be a real short song. But I'm just, for example, though, like you know, you know, I mean, you could adapt anything. I think that's my mentality. I don't know. I always felt like, well, if you're creating an artistic work, you have some poetic license. Now, if you're taking someone else's poem and making it into a song and putting the music to it or putting the melody to that and collaborating, or you know, just flat out taking, maybe you take somebody who's deceased, you know, and create a work out of their poetry. That's a different story, I guess. I mean, because you are constrained. I mean, you have to think about what the author's intent was if you weren't the one doing that. If you're, you know, if you're trying to integrate that into a song. But if it's just, you know, if it's just a song, I don't know. I think it's very important, or at least with myself, I always tried, whether you rhyme in a song or not, it's always important that the flow of the song is correct. And I always tried to make sure that my syllable counts were always symmetrical or lined up and congruent with each other, verse to verse.
Sure.
And that's so. If you're a starting songwriter, that's one thing you want to be aware of is, you know, making sure that from verse to verse, that you know, the second verse will match up syllable-wise with the first verse, and in terms of how the flow of that goes. You know, and maybe you'll have certain lines will rhyme or have sort of a phonetically rhyming sound or whatever.
Yes.
But you know, and usually a good song will have a hook and come back to it, and there's various ways you can do that. I mean, you know, there's different patterns. You'll see people like write A, B, and for the A is the first verse, B is the second verse. Then you'll have a chorus maybe, and then you'll have another verse, and then maybe you'll have a bridge. People call it a bridge. Well, it's something totally different, but ties into the song and brings it back together and bridges it to another chorus, perhaps.
Yeah.
But you know, there's no set way. I mean, that's why I always kind of liked it. I mean, I think songwriters get into a format they like, perhaps, and you'll notice, like a pattern.
Yeah.
And you know, I think that's why, you know, they might say, well, Neil Young sounds like Neil Young because lots of his stuff kind of sort of sounds similar because he'll fall into kind of a pattern of how he writes, or that format of like verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, or
makes sense.
You know, but you know, but there's no right or wrong way, and that's why I like it. I mean, there's some people who probably tell you there's a right or wrong way, but I'm not going to, because I think that's what I always liked about it, was the exploration of it. You know, just, you know, let's find a chord, and I don't know that I don't even know what it is, and then figure it out and what it is, you know, and just, I mean, that was always what the magic was to me and why I liked it. So.
No, I think that's fantastic. So are there people that write the music first and then the words to the music, or is it typically words first then music to it, or both?
I think it could be both. I tend to think of it like a puzzle. And so a lot of times when I go to write a song, and sometimes it just happens, like it'll be like the best ones, in my experience, happen in like one sitting, or one set. You just sit down and you have an idea, maybe a melody in your head, and all of a sudden you're feeling good, or maybe you're feeling bad, you're emotionally, but it just pours out and it's done in like 25 minutes. Boom, done. One writing, and you're like, whoa, how'd that happen? You know, but then other times you'll have maybe a chorus or a line that'll be there, and you'll keep that plugged away, and you might have the chords to something on that, but then you don't use it, and then a year and a half later you're like, oh, this works together with this, and it just works out, you know. So
that's so cool.
And it could even be longer than that. But I mean, you know, there's no, like I say, there's no set way that it happens. I mean, I'll take it any way I can get it.
That's right.
Honestly, that's the way I always
Sock
felt
it
about
to
it.
me.
I mean, but it's a lot of fun, and that's it's my jam at least. That's what I can tell you. So.
Hey, and that's so good, and you are so talented, and we appreciate your talent because I certainly don't have any of it. So, no, I was
It's
listening.
never too late.
Uh,
It's never too late.
people ask me at the restaurant, "Hey, do you guys sing for birthdays?" I'm like, "No, my birthday present to you is I don't sing."
Well, you could always get a tambourine or something. Here's an idea.
With streamers,
Yeah.
I like it.
If you could get your horses to not mind, you could have the horses and tambourine, and it could be a pretty cool thing.
Just run around the
I'd be
restaurant.
nervous with a tambourine. Well, I'd be nervous anyways trying to get on a horse. That'd be you'd have all kind of viewership if you have me come out and get on your horse sometime. I think that'd be pretty comical.
I'll lead you around. I'll tell you what. I'll lead you around like the camel, and you can play your guitar.
Well,
How's that?
Yeah, it would work.
And we're like the
If
newest.
you can get me on the
act.
horse, it would work. If we could just get me up there, I think that might be half the battle.
That's fantastic. So, what is your inspiration for the music that you write, or is it just anything and everything?
I mean, love is one of the main themes in lots. I mean, of course, they always say that every story is a love story, but I mean,
I
love
like
really
pizza.
is.
I love pizza. So
Well, you could write a song about pizza. I mean, and you could. I mean, people probably have, but it's for me personally, it's love and things that happen in life. Now, I used to be not as descriptive, I guess. I don't know. Sometimes I would write a song and it'd have meaning to me, and then someone else would read it and they'd be like, "Well, what's this song mean?" And I'd be like, "Well, I would understand what it meant to me, but
Sure.
they wouldn't." And so that's something I've had to work on and kind of hone my craft over the years and get better at. And I have gotten better at it. I mean, I listened to some of the things I wrote when I was like 18 or 20, and I'm like, I mean, in terms of lyrics, it's junk. In terms of music, it's not necessarily junk. But to me, I mean, I say junk. It's not junk. I mean, because it's all part of the process.
Sure.
And that's the important thing. You tend to look at it when you've done it more. You tend to look, that's junk. It's worthless. It's not worthless. It
was your rite of passage to get where you are today.
Right. It's a stepping stone to get to the next place. And so I mean, I don't know, but love is probably a main theme that I would come back to.
Aw, he's a big old teddy bear at heart.
Yeah.
Aren't you
Yeah,
cute?
I would say that more than anything else, and whether it's love for just people, or the feeling of love, or the feeling that you get when you're with your partner, or whatever, like things like that. That's what I write about.
Yeah.
So
kids, I mean anything.
my kids,
Pizza.
yeah. I've been trying to encourage my daughters to write a little bit too. We actually wrote a song together, and that was pretty fun. I don't push it too much because I want them to have kind of the intrinsic love for music. I mean, it's
Sure.
there and they can both sing, but sometimes they're pretty contrary, and so I'm like, but I don't.
You mean young girls? Contrary? What?
Oh, I won't talk about that. But, they're great, but I don't force it down them to learn it yet, or I haven't, and I'm hoping they'll just kind of pick it up on their own. That's kind of what I did, and I don't think it's too. A lot of people are like, "Oh, you got to start your kid out at age 3 or something." I mean, maybe that's great, and that works for some people, but I didn't really start playing until I was like 13 or 14. So I mean, I think
Right.
it doesn't. It's whenever you discover it and it has meaning to you, and I think that's the important thing, maybe. So.
Hey, and that's the thing. Whatever works for you, man. It's
Right.
like,
That's that's the thing. It's supposed to be fun. It should be fun first. It should,
Right.
and that's what
It's
it's
a
all
passion.
about. Right. That's what it's about. So.
yeah, absolutely. Well, Jenna, could you grab his guitar, please? Is that okay?
That's
Is she
totally
allowed
all
to touch your
could do.
guitar?
Yeah, of course. Of
Don't
course.
drop it or break anything.
Oh, I think it's got plenty of scratches on it. Actually.
And so, did you know what you're going to play for us today?
Yeah, I've got a couple I'll play for you if you
Okay,
want. You got
yeah.
time to play a couple?
Absolutely. We've got 25 minutes for you to play a couple. I see a scratch.
Oh, there's plenty. There's plenty on this.
So, are these going to be songs that you wrote?
Yes, sure are.
Very good.
See if my fingers still work here. This first one's called "There Ain't Nobody I Love." Last night I went rolling in the thunder of your heart. This morning it's still echoing through my hometown. On a quiet porch in some lonely neighborhood, I feel your heartbeat running on as to touch the ground. Electric current, it was flowing through our veins as our hands touched each other's in the cold rain. There ain't nobody I love in this world more than you. Early on a Sunday morning at the train station is where I swore that I'd not see you again. Tangled in a lonesome quagmire in my mind, it would seem you've got the best of me, my friend. Electric current, it was flowing through our veins as our hands touched each other's in the cold rain. There ain't nobody I love in this world more than you. I'm riding down the road alone. I'm riding down the highway by myself and no one else. In the afternoon, I'm gonna write me a plane ride. I'll arrive at your destination before you do. Sweep you off your feet as I step out off the plane. Holding hand in hand and forever will be true. Electric current, it was flowing through our veins as our hands touched each other's in the cold rain. There ain't nobody I love in this world more than you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Awesome. So when did you write that song?
I wrote that one, I think it was just 2019 maybe, something like that, a couple years ago.
Very good.
Yeah.
It seems like 1 year ago because, you know, we all
Yeah,
lost you.
yes, it does seem like only one. But yeah, I wrote that one. It's called There Ain't Nobody I Love, and which is, you know, kind of a deceptive title because you think there ain't nobody I love, but
Yeah.
except for you.
Except for you. You got to keep going with it, right?
Yeah.
So, guitar-wise, how the heck do you know what to do?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I just learned a lot long ago. You know, you just kind of, you start learning what the notes and the chords and putting it together. I mean, I think, you know, the first thing you have to do when you play guitar, though, is learn those basic chords, and you learn about, you know, the parts of the guitar and things. But it's just getting to a point where your fingers don't, the tips of your fingers don't hurt enough to where you can switch and switch fluidly, you know, on beat. So you can go from, like, say, a G directly to a C and beat, and and the switch, and you kind of over time you learn to program your fingers. It becomes like the second nature, like you're saying with your horse riding and stuff.
Right.
Just you move from one. It's one motion though. It's not like when you start learning, it's like, oh well, I'll get my fingers on there and learn the chord.
You're really picking them up and moving.
But you have to have one motion to get to things. And once you get to that point, though, it unlocks all kinds of of things that you could do with it. So, and that's where when I would take my beginning students, when I taught at Hummingbird for a while and out of my own studio. But when I would take my beginner students, that's the place I'd really try to get them to, because then they want to spend that 2 hours a day playing the guitar and you can make leaps and bounds. You'll plateau out many times when you're working on an instrument, but there's certain things that you kind of master a certain concept, and then you really take off. So
love that.
But,
well, very good.
yeah.
See, you're learning along the way too. It's what we're here for.
Yeah.
So what are you going to play for us next?
I'm going to play a song for you that's called Peace of Mind, and it's going to be the title track to my next album. It's going to be called Peace of Mind. So, yeah.
Don't we all need that right now?
We do. Well, here I am. I'm all alone. I need someone to lead me home. I long to be deep in your arms. It's where I'll find some peace of mind. I've learned what love really meant with you. I've learned what life looks like when you're true to yourself. Forsaken hearts can only be blue, so forgive them and just find peace of mind that's inside you. Tonight I'll see the light in me. I'll find someone and lead them home. The endless sea, deep in their heart, is where they'll find some peace of mind. Embrace the quiet that's within you. Feel the warming light that you keep inside, where the stillness speaks at the eyes of creation. Go create now and just find peace of mind that's inside you. Well, here I am, all alone. I need someone to lead me home. I long to be deep in your arms. It's where I'll find mind.
Ooh, I love that one. That's so good.
Thank you.
I feel like we all can relate.
Thank you.
Right
Yeah,
now.
that to me, like that second verse is like, that's one thing that, of course, when there's limited things you can do, like, and everybody's felt so bottled up and stuff for the past year, like being able to just go and, like, for me personally, to go and create and do, write a song or do something, go work in the garden, go do something that, you can find that peace. And because you have to find it for yourself. It's not something that you can get externally always. It's something you got to find from within. I feel like personally, maybe you can get it from external forces, but I think ultimately you got to find it within you.
It does come from within, and nobody can do that for you but yourself.
Right.
Yep. So, pretty heartfelt stuff. Good job, you
Thank
big
you.
old softy.
Well, thank you.
So, what musicians are your muses, if you will?
I would say Neil Young is probably my favorite, and he was Dad's favorite too, so that's why I got that exposure at a very young age. And the Beatles, I always like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, and lots of classic rock. I like there's a new group of folk and country artists that I like real well. Like there's a guy named Ray LaMontagne I really enjoy, let's see who else. I always draw a blank when people ask me this question. Jason Isbell, and they're on like Americana radio. Like there's a guy. I'll tell you my biggest influence. So I really like this guy. He sang with a group called The Band. His name's Levon Helm. He's no longer living. Levon was the greatest, and I think he encompassed the spirit of like the folk, just I don't know, rock and roll, folk, blues tradition. And he was from the South, but I just
way
never
ahead
saw,
of his time.
Yeah, I just never saw. And like Dad and I would talk about it. He was like, it always sounded like it was from the like they made rock and roll sound like it was in the 19th century. But there was lots of great music that happened happened in the 19th century that was folk music. And I think he kind of encompassed that, for me at least he did, and I think for others. But he was always known for having these ramble concerts, and they'd be late night concerts, and they'd go on forever. And of course, if you have ever seen The Last Waltz by the band, you get a little piece of what that was like. But I love Levon. Of course, I like Jorma Kaukonen. He's right down the road. Played with the Jefferson Airplane at the Fur Peace Ranch there in Meigs. Jorma's great. I like Doc Watson. He's no longer living. Doc was a great guitar player, and his son Merle. They did some great work together. There's lots of different folks. I know I'm forgetting people. I like there's a guy named Beck. He is from more of our generation. I really like his music. I think I like artists that don't always stay in the same.
Is that the Devil's Haircut guy?
The what? Oh yes, it is.
Yeah,
yes, okay. But he just his music evolved. Like I probably like more of his folk kind of oriented music. Some of his stuff is some of it's pretty zany and out there, but he's a true artist, and he can go from being totally off cuff to being stripped down and playing just folks tunes that are just magnificent. And I don't know, I look at him like modern Beatles. Like I think he's the only artist that could compare to like what the Beatles were doing. Sure. He kind of picks up with where they left off with, say, like a Sgt. Pepper or a Abbey Road, and kind of takes it to a different place. But I don't know. There's so many. Like Bob Seger's great. I love Bob Seger. I aspire to probably learn some more Bob Seger. He just has such soul. Just a great performer. And he was actually the first concert I ever went to. No, Aerosmith was the first concert I would see, but Bob Seger was the second. But
both
yeah.
classics,
Yes,
right?
Yes.
Yeah, you can't do that. You can't go without. So there's like this, I don't want to say new genre, but all of a sudden, and I guess my question is, what is it? All of a sudden you start hearing this more like on the radio and whatever, and it's like what Nathaniel Rateliff and Alabama Shakes and some of those, like, what style of music is that? I feel like it's like this weird combination of all kinds of different
I would call
styles.
It Americana. I would just call it Americana because
they're very unique, but yet kind of fall within the same category. I feel like
it's like rhythm and blues with folk, sometimes
Yeah.
with rock and roll, and
It's like fusion.
Right, and that's why I would call it Americana, because I think
Okay.
it infuses all these different styles that came from the like jazz and blues and folk, and kind of fuses it together, so I would say that's probably more of the Americana vein, but I mean it's some of it leans more toward country, some of it leans more toward rhythm and blues, like your Nathaniel Rateliff or whatever there. So. And he's great, by the way. I'd love to check him out sometime.
Yeah,
and another one, Marcus King, young guitar player. I don't know if you've heard of Marcus, but he's great. You should check out Marcus King. He's outstanding. He's
I definitely will.
Yeah, I saw him a couple years ago. Warren Haynes, guitar player, former for Government Mule, and he's with Government Mule. That's his band, and the Allman Brothers. He did this benefit down in Asheville, North Carolina, called the Christmas Jam, and he would do it every year. He did it for like 30 years, and of course they didn't do it last year.
Of course.
Yeah, but that's where I saw Marcus, was at that Christmas Jam. Went down to that, so they do.
So at the Orange Peel?
No, it was actually at their big like Tom Wolfe Convention Center or whatever.
Like that
I
big.
don't even know if it's called that anymore, but that's where it was at the time I went. But it's right in the middle of town there. But yeah, it's for Habitat for Humanity, and that's a nice event.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's more of like a ramble style concert, like indoor festival seating, where you could pretty much walk anywhere. And then we that thing started at I think it started at 6.
Yeah.
In the evening, and it did not get over until like 3 a.m.
Nice.
And it just it's like wow, but then by the end of it, you're pretty wore out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's
This
a
is
great,
really good.
It's a great experience. So yeah. Luckily, we didn't have to walk too far. So
That's good. No, Asheville is a whole other story that I could talk about forever. I mean, it's like home. I just love Asheville.
It's a great community,
It
and
is
and so many,
amazing.
and being that you're in the brewery business,
Yes.
it's like that's there's so many down there.
Oh my gosh.
And it's just like
it's like crack.
There's a lot
Crazy.
there's a lot of great breweries down there. A lot of great just not just breweries, but scenery
Just
and
art and music and talent.
and wildlife and
Yeah.
everything else. I mean, it's just
Beauty.
it's a great community down there. I'm actually going to be doing a week of shows down there in late spring. I'm working on putting that together. A friend of mine, a friend of
I may
mine's
have to
friend
go
has
down there
this
for that.
brewery down there that is like a caboose, and it's called Whistle Hop.
Yeah, I've
And-
heard of it.
Okay,
Yeah.
and they've got like a putt course on the side of a hill, and they've got these
that's
giant
one of them we
half
haven't
pipe
been to.
slides. And I'm gonna play down there at that place and some others. But yeah,
Sign me up.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know when that's happening. But
Please.
we'll be down there. So.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Love that. Yeah, that's one of the places we have not stopped, and I'm like really bummed about it.
It's at a place called Fairview. You go toward this, like you go out through Asheville and you're past it, and then you hit the sign toward Bat Cave, and it's actually you're going out toward this area called Lake Lure, and Lake Lure is where they filmed Dirty Dancing. And there's this night you got to go out there. You got to go out. It's really cool.
to.
Yeah, it's awesome. My cousin actually got married out there. It's a beautiful place.
Does it really look like Dirty Dancing? Like, does it look the same?
I mean, kind of, yeah. If you go in the alcoves or the nooks of the woods and stuff. It's right by this place called Chimney Rocks. It's right above it too, and that's a big kind of hiking tourist site for hikers and stuff. But yeah, I would recommend going out that way, and also on the way out there, that brewery's on the way. So
My life is complete now.
it might be when you go
After I go there,
yeah, it might
get
be.
to see the Dirty Dancing
Well,
place.
and that lake is just gorgeous. We swam in the lake and stuff. It was nice. But yeah, so many nice things down there.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah,
down
it's a nice area.
And everyone, it's like here. And I think that's why when I say it's like home, everyone is so nice.
Everybody's so friendly, aren't they?
They are
That's
so
what I
nice.
noticed, and that's that. It just it's a bigger town, but you feel like you're in a hometown like Jackson. You're
Absolutely.
in a small
You
town.
can just
you know,
meander around the town, go into a store, everybody's super nice.
And it's kind of the way that is. It's kind of like several small communities that are butted up against one another, but at the same time, every community is pretty well developed and
Yes.
has its own little nice motif or whatever you want to call it. Its own little
you're
thing.
right.
So.
Very good. Don't know how we got off on that tangent.
I know.
but-
Sorry, it was breweries and playing in Nashville and music. So
there you go.
Yeah.
But I would recommend it. We had a trip planned and then ended up having to cancel it this spring, so I'm bummed about that. All right, so we have a few minutes left. I've kept you here long enough, but let's go over again your Jackson County roots. You know, you did come here to talk about that,
Yes.
and I think that this concert is so cool. And again, we have about, what, a month and a half?
About a month and a half. It'll be the Thursday the 23rd of September and Friday the 24th of September at the Lilian Jones Museum. That's at 75 Broadway Street in Jackson. And, you know, we'll have each evening we will have 4 or 5 performances each evening for running from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. We'll have the Marquee will be there selling or, you know, for donation doing 6 cents beer. And we're kind of trying to work on having something a little for people to munch on possibly, but something small. But you can bring your food from the Apple Fest and come down under the tent. We'll have chairs. You can bring your camping chair if you want, but we will have like 30 or so chairs on site for those that, you know, don't have a chair, but you can come down and hang out and just, you know, take a siesta there and enjoy some music and, you know, learn something about folks that write songs in the community and learn something about the arts from at the Marquee, and it should be a wonderful couple evenings of events there, I think.
I think you're really onto something. I think this is a very cool event, and again, it's just another addition to the Apple Festival, not like in competition with it or anything
totally,
like that.
Right, totally.
But just go down, hang out for an hour or whatever in your walking around the Apple Fest. We all need to take a load off when you're walking down there, right?
Right, and I guess if it poured down rain or if it was raining, that would be a place where you could, if you're up there, you could come and hide out for a minute and wait for the rain to break maybe, and so.
There you go. But lots of local artists. For sure, performing is
Mike Morgan, myself, John Reister, and that's all I'm going to tell you for now.
Okay.
That's 3 for now, but there's at least 5 more. Yeah.
At least
5
Okay.
more. Yes, I think it's maybe 6 more.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And so people, you will be making that announcement, you said, the end of this week.
End of the week, and if you go to Facebook or you can go to Instagram and look up Jackson County Roots. Just looks just like the shirt here.
There you
and
go.
We'll have these shirts. If you want one of these shirts, we'll have them for sale at those shows in September there. But go to Jackson County Roots on the social media, and we'll make the announcement there at the end of the week. So follow us there, and of course we'll have updates and stuff throughout the time period leading up to the events there. So
You know, and that is so cool, and just something else local that you can do. And you know, we have, as you just heard from Morgan, you have a lot of local talent here in this area that I don't even know that people understand.
Oh, it's
insane.
It's insane. It really is, and you know, there's a lot of music that's come from Jackson, and I don't, you know, people don't realize sometimes, and that was kind of really one of the main reasons I wanted to make sure that there was a platform to recognize local songwriters and whatnot. And you know, I think that you know, and like, you know, for instance, like somebody like John Reister, you know, he's somebody who transplanted to another location, who's going to come back and share his gifts with us here locally still, and you know, and his fiddle work. I mean, he has a group called the New Beckham County Ramblers down there that he plays in, but but he makes these fiddles. They're just outstanding, and but you can go Jay Reister Violins. This is thing on Instagram, but I'd check it out. It's great. But yeah, you know, if you go to the social media and follow us there, and we'll stay in touch with you, and I think it'll. And it's also sponsors. If any business that would be interested still in sponsoring our event, you can contact me at morganwasham@gmail.com. Or yeah, gmail.com.
Gmail.com. Yep, Morgan Washam, just how it sounds.
Yep.
Very phonetic.
One word.
Yep. Is there a difference between a fiddle and a violin?
No, I don't think so. Excuse me. No, I think there's a viola that is a little bit larger than a violin. I think the violin's the smallest, and then it's the viola, I think.
It just depends on what genre of music you're playing it in.
Well, I guess. I mean, I think it's a violin if you're playing classical,
Yes.
probably. But I'm sure there's classical violinists that might say, well, I'm playing an old fiddle tune. You know, it just depends. I guess it just depends on the genre. Like you say, if it's coming from more of the folk tradition, it's probably the fiddle. But if it's classical, it's violin.
Yep.
But,
There you go. I've always wondered that, and I never had gotten an answer.
no, there may be different types of fiddles. So John could tell you more than I could about it.
Hey, there you go. You can
could
find all
come
that
down
out.
and you could ask questions. He'll be on site and be glad to take your questions, I'm sure. So.
Very good. Well, Morgan, we can't thank you enough for spending your morning with us. Playing those tunes are just absolutely amazing.
Well, I appreciate you having me out.
Absolutely. Would you come back before the concert and just remind everybody about it?
I sure will.
All right, cool.
Appreciate it.
All right, well, let's get out of here for the day. We appreciate you tuning in. Sunny skies today, highs around 82. Tomorrow, highs around 83. Looking absolutely gorgeous for the next few days.
Beautiful day.
I mean, you just don't get better than that.
No, you do not.
We have been very blessed with some really good temperatures this summer.
We sure have.
So, all right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we will be right back here tomorrow on your Hump Day Wednesday. And thanks for watching. We'll see you then. Bye, everybody.
See you.